When we've created a plugin that requires configuration options, it's going to be necessary to store the options that the user enters. There's a couple ways you can do that. One, if you have a lot of information that you're storing, you'll probably want to create your own table, and we'll talk about interacting with the WordPress database in future units. The other way you can do it is you can create your own fields in the options database. We're going to look at how to do that. And there's actually a couple ways to do it. One way is the deprecated pre-WordPress 2.7 way. And I want to go through that, not because it's a great way, but because you'll see it a lot. It was a very common way of doing it. And also, it allows us to get into nonces and talk about what those are and how they work. So I'm just going to get you introduced and started on that way, but just keep in mind that this isn't a secure way and this isn't a best practice, but it is a way that works if you want to do it this way. So let's look at our CC Comments plugin. We've already got it plugged in and we've already got it set so we have an options page. So what we really need to do now is create a form. So we'll write form, action. We leave that empty, which means it's going to submit to the same page. That allows us to do the processing from within the same function. The method's going to be post. The ID, it's possible that there could be other forms on the page, so it's good to keep it unique. So there's our form. Now we'll create a header, and here we're going to say call the field CC email, so we can link to it that way. And we'll go ahead and say email to send CC to, and then stay in the H3 so it's all on the same line, and we'll add an input tag. It's a text input, ID, CC email, the name will be the same. And then for the value, we're going to output the result of calling the special function get option, and we're going to give the option a name. In this case, we're going to call it ccom underscore cc underscore email. Notice I'm using the prefix here, ccom. I do that because it keeps it unique, so that way all these options are stored in the database, so I want to make sure I don't override or get something from some other plugin. So I'm also going to use the escape function to essentially get rid of any HTML tags or something. Anytime there's user edited fields, it's a good idea to do that. So that's my value field and the end of my input. Now I just need to put in a submit tag, and we're good to go. So let's go back to our form in the admin. Notice I didn't have anything here. So now we can see I have a form. Of course, I'm not saving it yet. In order to do that, I have to do a couple things. And like I said, this isn't the best way. I forgot to close that P. This is the old way to do it. You put a hidden form, and we'll call it ccom hidden. And the value will be Y. Then what we can do is when it's submitted, we can look to see if it exists in the post, single quote there, ccom hidden, and equals Y. If it does, then we'll do our processing. Processing is easy. There's two functions you can call, add option and update option. Update option is a good case for what we're doing here because if it doesn't exist, it will automatically create it. Add option is something you might want to use if you're setting something up maybe on activation. So we'll just put update option. The name of the option is going to match what we're using here in the get. So you can just copy that. And the value is going to be what's submitted for the post in CC email. That's it. So it's saved. So now I'm just going to output some simple a message so the user knows that it worked. This updated class is part of the style sheet of the admin. You'll see what it looks like. So now I'll save it and I can go back here. Now I want to make sure that I refresh it because I want to make sure that I get that hidden field. So you can see here's where my function's outputting and you can see I have my hidden field. And then we enter a database and save it. and you can see it tells me it's saved and the get option gets it and outputs it here. So for plugins that require editing, we have the ability to edit directly to the options database in WordPress. It's pretty straightforward. In the old way, we create a form, and we also create the form processing and use update option to update that option. We can use get option to retrieve the option whenever we want. The way that we did it here is insecure, because anyone could spoof that they're coming to this and submitting data, and that could cause a problem. And we'll talk about how to avoid that in the next video when we use nonces.